Hello.
Jack.
There he is.
Yes. What's up?
What's up? Now joining the show. Very good guest, friend of the show. This is like the fourth or fifth time he's been on.
It's been a long time since we talked
Wait,
to him.
now since the last time we talked to him, now head coach, head girls basketball coach, Council Rock North, Mr. Jack Kelly.
Hello.
Jack, how are you?
Was that a good
Great to
intro?
be back.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that was a good intro.
How's the
This is
off-season?
the first. This is my first intro as my first interview.
Hey,
First head coach interview?
listen, we're glad you could give it to the Chooping It Up podcast here, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
How's the
Here I
off-season
am.
summer workouts going in preparation for your year one?
It's going well. We have a bunch of players working hard. We have the injury bug a little bit, but I'm proud of the commitment that our players have made, in addition to, all that they have going on.
Nice.
So it's been good, exciting times for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's half the battle. You got to get them to buy in. So the fact that they can show up and maneuver their schedules around to fit what you're trying to do and build as a program is a testament to them. So it seems
Yeah,
like you
I
have a
mean,
good group.
I think it's a double-edged sword, because obviously we have goals that we as a team want to accomplish, but at the same time, like, they have lives too. They only get to go through high school and be an adolescent once. So, like, we have a bunch of players that played in AAU season. We had probably about 7 or 8 girls that were out in Chicago this week for the live period. We've got
Cool.
other kids that have been go on vacation with their families, and then there some others playing multiple sports, but they've been balancing everything that's on their plate, which is a credit to them. And I think it's also important for us not to force kids to put everything in one basket, because otherwise that leads to burnout and some of the other issues that we see that kids have today. So it's definitely a balancing act, but so far it's been so good. We've instituted a strength and conditioning program that had kind of been missing from the program. We have been having good numbers at our open gyms for the most part. It's gotten a little tough in the summer time at times, but like every day, I think we've been trying to take a step forward, and that's kind of been the message, and the kids have bought into that.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Tom was at a loss
It's
for
good to
words
hear.
there
I
for a
was.
second. Yeah.
Speechless.
So
I can do that.
would
You have that gift.
Or it's just people fell asleep, and that's why.
I kind of
But
was.
that's
I think I was dozed off.
that's the gift, Jack. That is it.
It's called de-escalating.
So obviously we know your time's limited, right? We've been in text. We might be down to 5.5 minutes, but I guess news of the day. It's not like official, but
It's coming around the corner.
coming around the corner. PIAA is moving to kind of be at the forefront of instituting high school athletes to be able to profit off of or make money off of their name, image, and likeness. Obviously now you being a head coach in the system, it's something down the road that you might have to run into. So, I kind of want to get your initial thoughts. Obviously, I have mine, and Tommy has his, and when Matt finally gets here, he'll have his. But as a brand new head coach, this is something that's going to be right around the corner, like Tom said. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm all over the place thinking about it. It was something that I hadn't thought about at all, because you're trying to get a program off the ground. But it sprung up and was like, ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is not to have a closed mind one way or the other.
Right.
Yep.
From a PIAA standpoint, I think people that might have been surprised by this, I'm not surprised at all, because I for better or worse, I feel like the PIAA, they kind of run their organization of is how can we avoid any lawsuits that come before us.
Yes.
And with that in mind, I think they foresaw that if they didn't get out ahead of this, they were going to face possible litigation, particularly because there's other states and neighboring states that have name, image, and likeness policies. So, you know, you can say what you want. All right, they're trying to get out ahead of it. To be honest with you, the key to me is going to be how is it governed and who's governing it. And at the end of the day, we have to keep in mind what's best for the kids. And unfortunately, my biggest concern right now is that, and I have this concern not just with name, image, likeness. I just have it in concern with education and educational programs in general, is the adults in the room often get in the way of the kids.
That's a good way to put it.
What do you mean by that? And we can go down a list of, there's people out there that they don't have what's in the best interest, and they try to make a profit off of kids. We've turned into a culture of youth sports becoming a travel experience, for better or worse. And while it's not to take away from some of the excellent coaches out there who volunteer their time, there are programs out there that are more geared towards, profits. And not that there's people out there that aren't doing their best in that industry, but there's some that just aren't. They're out there doing stuff without the kid in mind. And there's also, just people out there that they're feeding kids wrong information. A concern of mine personally is people out there that are telling kids that you should just be playing this sport. And down this way, and I could see it creeping up into Lackawanna County, but I had a person, we ran a camp, and a person said to me, "Oh my God, my daughters loved your camp. They weren't playing any other sports other than soccer. And because, the leaders of the organization were saying, well, if you want to play in spring, you're going to want to play and improve your skills over winter. And then in the spring, they play and they say, well, if you want to stay on that team on the fall, you're going to have to improve your skills." And it just kept pushing them right into that spot. And I said, how old are your kids? They're in third grade. And that's the thing. What now with the name, image, likeness? On one hand, I'm saying, wow, this could create opportunities for some kids that might not have those. And there are opportunities for kids that are trying to, manage life and working for their families while trying to be an athlete, while trying to be a student. But then there are others who, there's going to be people out there that try to take advantage of that situation, and unfortunately, they're going to push them into positions that don't have their best interest because they're looking for their own clout. So it's definitely going to be a balancing act, and it's definitely going to come down to what rules are in place to monitor it.
See,
go ahead.
That's like the tough part for me. So if we look at this from a perspective of high school athletics to college athletics, because obviously they're dealing with it too. Obviously, I think the big thing that people have issue with at this point in time about the collegiate, the NCAA NIL deal, or the collegiate NIL deal, is that there isn't a way to govern it, and now it's like a free for all, wild west. Boosters are offering money, and transfer portal people are transferring. And I don't know. I think that might have to come from whatever state level. I'm not sure if the NCAA can be, if they could put sanctions or rules in it for NIL stuff. But I almost feel like initially on the high school level, because of what you just said, there are going to be, at some point, as this rolls out and as people start to, see how much influence like a high school athlete has via social media, because social media isn't going anywhere, and kids are really, really good on their phones and, have a presence via social media. And for businesses, when they start to figure that out, they're going to be able to take advantage. They're going to be the businesses that, have, I want to help out. I went to so-and-so school and, I really like the family or whatever. Here you go. And then they're going to be the people that, want to take advantage of a kid. So I feel like on the high school level, though, as coaches, as it starts to get, more and more along with the parents, like we're going to have these conversations with the kids, and it's almost going to be like another role that we have to be realistic with them. As adults, we could kind of see things a little clearer, like, okay, you did this for such and such business. They offered you $25, $50, but the reach that you're getting. Like, so I feel like it's going to have to be a balancing act like that, where like coaches as the adults, like, we're coaches. We have the best interest of the kids in mind, and this isn't going to be any different. So,
I mean, I'm going to interject a little bit on that point to
by all means,
the involvement, because as the PIAA came out, and the only thing I know of this right now is anything that's been written in the newspaper so far, and in terms of what the policy looks like and language and so on and so forth, but do coaches, very, very few coaches, get involved in helping a kid get a job or get an internship or get that part-time job, like Jack says, at certain maybe break points in the calendar year based on what their activities are. And, and not whether it's good, bad, whatever, indifferent, but what kind of counseling are they doing in that regard, and how is that much different than the NIL? My concern is, and like Jack said, as far as the rules and the guidelines, that student athlete can't wear our logo, can't wear any type of apparel of the school, can't do it in a uniform, can't talk about the school, can't mention PIAA. It's got to be completely private. So if it's going to be completely private, and as long as it doesn't pertain to that list of no products and services, right, then why should we have to police that, right? As long as it's not impacting, quote unquote, recruiting, transfers, so on and so forth from that eligibility standpoint.
See, I think, like, I'm not saying policing it. I'm saying, like, if you blatantly see, right, such and such is, has this deal with a local, I don't know, diner. And, like, you see as an adult that, like, this local diner is just taking advantage of this kid. Like, are you, like, I'm not saying police it for everyone, but if you blatantly see it, maybe it's a kid, or you talk to the parents, like something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen.
Right. It's happening already.
True.
We had a softball pitcher be asked to pitch to a local celebrity in order to sell tickets to a softball senior all-star game.
It's very true.
She didn't receive anything for it. I guess if she wasn't wearing anything and she didn't talk about our school, she could have probably profited off that appearance, which is the right thing for the kid. Yeah, because whoever got money for that game received money without her receiving a dime.
Yes,
so there's certain ways, like Jack said. I'm still kind of in shock a little bit. Not that it has moved here. We've gotten a heads up in April at a PIAA, a District 2 business meeting, that at the state level this was coming around the corner. I never anticipated waking up and
in July,
and a first reading was passed, and I have not seen anything come across my desk yet to look at the language of what was passed. So, and again, and that's why there's 3 readings to this, because now we're going to be able to digest a bunch of things and debate it back and forth. But But the big thing is right now, I really don't have an opinion. I have some feelings, but I'm not taking a stance because I honestly, like, Jack, I think down in your area, it's going to be a bigger deal than it is going to be in the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Northeast PA area, because you're dealing with more, just the population alone, you're dealing with more higher level athletes at a more frequent basis, I guess, between Philadelphia and then out in Pittsburgh.
And I think you kind of see at the college level right now is at the college level, you're seeing there's certain schools that have boosters that are basically just forking over as much money as possible. And it like you can see, if you look at recruiting rankings, you can basically see who's had an NIL program set up and who hasn't.
Right.
At this level, like to your point, and kind of along what you're saying, like a concern I'd have is what's the take? Maybe there's a graduate of a certain school, or even like a private school that says that they basically create some sort of program that they're paying all the athletes there, and they're getting the best athletes. Well, then you might get kids transferring there, and they're getting money, but then they're not getting anything beyond that. Like,
right.
And ultimately, I think you always have to go back to what's the purpose of interscholastic sports. And I think, in my opinion, and this is what I said in my interview, the interscholastic sports are an extracurricular activity. They're supplemental programs to kind of enhance the learning and classroom experience of your district. We obviously know that they have benefits to the kid, and they're supposed to kind of coincide with the values of your school and, kind of help prepare that child for life after high school.
Yep.
So I think it's important that if you have a program that it kind of gears toward that. One avenue that I'd be curious if we're really looking out for the best and the best for the kid, maybe they create a scale of here's what's allowed for the kid to receive direct cash reimbursements, and here's what's allowed for the kid to receive, if they're doing this avenue, then money in that has to go into a fund that's directed only towards their education or future job trainings. Something that is kind of meeting the ideal of what you're doing. Like if you think about when a student schools a school district, they don't get that money directly if they win the lawsuit.
Right.
It has to go towards something towards their education.
Right.
Now, we know that I think when people hear that language, they're like, oh, you're saying that they have to go to college. I'm not saying that.
Right.
Maybe to your point, maybe it's creating some sort of, they work for, there's a company that wants to sponsor Joey. Joey agrees to that sponsorship, but in return, that company has to provide X amount of job shadowing opportunities in the summer, and in addition, the compensation, he gets direct compensation for that job shadowing, and then all advertisement money goes towards a fund that will help him obtain certification or some sort of educational opportunity towards his future goals, something like that. Just something that doesn't lose the value of what we're trying to do, because otherwise we know this, and it happened way back when there, like some of the charter school programs first started popping up.
Right.
There's people that create things that are strictly geared towards sports. And to me, that's taking away opportunities for those kids. Look at IMG Academy. Like, that's strictly a sports-based school. Now, people say it creates opportunity for kids, and they're probably right, and there's probably kids there that wouldn't have otherwise gotten those opportunities. But at the same time, it's just if that's all we're worried about, I think we're kind of losing our we're losing touch with what we're trying to do, and we could potentially be exploiting kids.
I go ahead, Hooper.
I was going to say, I mean, I think that is a good idea, but I think the pitfall with that is going to be what Tommy started this off with is PIAA might try to put that in, but I feel like that would be something where once NIL, because it's going to be okay with all 50 states in high school at some point, it's going to be the same thing. If one state does it like you just said, like, okay, you know, a student athlete could receive this much directly, but then anything after that has to go in whatever, you know, scholarship fund or some on-job training. It's going to come back to the lawsuit thing. Well, okay, they don't, the New York, whatever, the high school athletic, like, it's going to be the same thing, I feel like, almost. In terms of lawsuits.
I'm just basically throwing stuff out.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think it's a great idea.
But
I'm just trying to throw stuff out there, like spaghetti against the wall, kind of like thoughts of, okay, what are pluses and negatives right now? I do
correct.
Think there are pluses to this.
Yes.
And then, there was the article in the paper the other day about Jerry Martin. Think about him. In high school, he sold out every single gym in our area. He went to Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
He had people busing up from Scranton, making T-shirts.
Right.
And he got nothing.
Sounds $0 for
and,
that. Yep.
And that's where you know, you go and you know, as you think about stuff like that, he's one of, you know, and think about all the kids that have come out of this area and played basketball. You know, there's only going to be a handful of kids that truly are going to be able to benefit from NIL at the high school level.
I was thinking that, yes.
You know, and you're not, so it's not going to be, and I'm talking from like a
like where it matters,
an impactful, not picking up a couple $100 a year. You could do that. I'm not, you know, you could do that cutting the grass.
There's going to be, you know, a couple kids that make. Like, you know,
like London Montgomery at prep right now. You know, maybe the Dupree kid up at Lakeland. Like, there's only to me a small handful of kids that are really going to, that someone's going to come knocking on the door, looking again. There's bad and there's good and bad to this. I'm talking about the good aspects of that their name, image, and likeness being beneficial to partner with some business, service, or group that there's going to be a mutual benefit between that partnership.
Yeah.
And honestly, like when you say you go back about the purpose of interscholastic athletics, in America, we're the only ones, I think, on the planet that the foundation of sports is in the school system. Everybody else, Jack mentioned IMG, everybody else across the pond, for the most part, have specialized academies for not only sports but any other type of niche interests, you know, in terms of going towards that. I
mean, they have pro basketball players that are like 15 playing in the pro leagues. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, but
you're saying actually,
but
like,
you kind of get, you know, without going long into it, but you kind of get handpicked on who at a young age is looked at and said, you know what, you're going to be a gymnast, so you're going to the gymnast academy for a little while. You know, and so, but I think, honestly, from the NIL standpoint, anything negative to the NIL aspect of it, we're all at fault for it, especially in the interscholastic setting, because like Jack said, if the program is truly intended to supplement the educational mission of the school district, then once basketball season is over, the basketballs go away. Once baseball season, once the school year is over, get out and enjoy your summer.
Yeah.
You're not back in, you're not preparing, you're not, if we're truly about the student athlete, then put everything else away and wait until the first day of football, wait until the first day of soccer, tennis, whatever the sport may be, and continue to emphasize that multiple participation approach.
Yep.
You know, I mean, so we've made it to the point where in communities all across the country, if the football coach isn't winning or if the basketball coach isn't winning, then there's pressure on the school system to replace them.
Yeah.
For what? You know, I mean, I got into an argument on Facebook because I couldn't keep I couldn't keep quiet anymore with some parents of my daughter's basketball team, crushing the coach about when are they going to start off-season workouts. We're behind, and these girls haven't been doing anything, and this and this. At that time, it was early May. You could have been doing something. You could have been running track. You could have been playing softball. If you really wanted to, go play AAU basketball. Why is it that the school system has to be the one to turn into a sport academy? You know, and that's not the mission.
Yeah.
Again, we want them active. We're not saying,
Go play Xbox all day.
Yeah, we want them to be active and exercise and things like that. But again, the purpose and the mission is misguided.
Yeah. I will say in terms of just straight coaching, I think like this for you, Jack, particularly, and like any like new coaches, you know, in the Pennsylvania whatever system, or even just guys that are a little younger or girls that are a little younger that are getting that head coaching, I think it's good for you because the first thing you said was like, I don't have an opinion. I'm going to be open-minded. So you could kind of, wherever this goes, you can kind of, you know, go with it. But I've already seen it, you know, and it probably happened the same thing on the college level. Like the guys that are, this isn't how it used to. I've been doing this for 20 years. This isn't how it's done. Yeah, but things are changing, right? Kids actually, you know what? Kids can market themselves on social media. I see a bunch of, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds that are millionaires because they were able to use their phone effectively to market themselves. So,
and I think that's I think everything, it just has to be a balancing act.
Right.
You know, you're trying to teach kids values that you feel will help them in the long run.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have a responsibility to try to promote players and promote our program.
Right.
But within that fact too, you got to get kids to buy into the concepts of, you know, being a part of a team, be like, you know, all the things that we found to be beneficial to us with sports. And, you know, I could see it going like multiple ways here, you know. But to Tom's point, I think people have to realize, like, it's going to be different than the college level, because at the college level, like, you hear of the kids that are making, you know, $2 million going to Texas A&M.
Well,
you know,
the kid that was at Ohio State or whatever, that's now Texas, the quarterback, who made $1 million. Like they offered, you know what I mean? Or Alabama's quarterback.
But those kids are talented kids who otherwise may not have been, you know, their name was going to kind of be exploited. But I think what's going to happen is, I think what's going to ultimately happen at the college level is you're going to have separate divisions, like an additional elite power conference division, and then you're going to have the people underneath that. At the high school level, where that money that you might be getting here would be for a stud, and they're probably trying to, if you follow the pathway, trying to something long term, like, hey, like, this is a college that I'd like to see you go to. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
that's where you have to be cautious. The regular hometown business isn't going to be they're not, like, think of all that they've been through. They're not going to be saying, yo, I want to give you 10 grand.
Right.
You're the starting point guard on the Montrose Meteors. Like,
here's the one example that I thought of, you know, throughout the day brainstorming like this kind of stuff, was the booster club. You know, your typical booster club might be threatened by this, simply because, let's say you have, you know, Johnny's Pizza is, you know, a typical $100 ad book donor for you or something like that, right? Are they better served to throw that $100 to one of your more marquee athletes, or one of, not even necessarily just because of their athletic image, but more so just from their personality, right, and influence? Throw that kid $100 and ask him just once a week, say, make sure you have a social media post that says, "I love Johnny's Pizza," with a picture and whatever they can do creatively on social media these days.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. But then what's to not turn around on the other end is the people then that abandon that business because you didn't support the other, like,
Yeah,
right
right.
now, unfortunately, like this is going into, like, one of the things that I intend to do for our players, and I do it for our kids in school in one of the classes I teach, is navigating social media.
Right.
And the unfortunately right now it goes back to that adults in the room messing things up. You go online and you see the way that people converse behind the screen of a phone or computer, and the posts that get made and the comments and the threads and the anger that gets posted on social media.
Mm-hmm.
This could contribute further to that because
Yes.
you're going to have people, unfortunately, you're going to have people going after coaches saying that by not playing your kid, you're
limiting their, right.
You're not only taking away from their high school career, but you're taking away financially from ways that they could benefit.
That's a good point.
But it is. But again, like, the parents are going to do that no matter what. They already do that. This is just something else that they can complain about.
You put money behind that hoop, that takes it to a whole nother level.
Right.
And I think it'll be easy for the PIAA to say, hey, we're not going to do anything associated with school. Like, you're going to have this problem. It's not going to be associated with schools. Whether it's associated with schools or not, they're going to have to come out with ways for administrators and coaches, like, brainstorm how you can handle situations that stem from this.
Right.
Because, and make sure that how do we inform, train parents so they're aware of what's out there, and how do we make sure that we're educating people so that they're making the best decisions for themselves and for their families, and all of that jazz, because otherwise you're going to run into a million problems with you're not doing anything to help my family, which you kind of have now, but now you have money behind that.
Yeah, but the way you're saying, I think that becomes a real issue. I don't think, whatever, okay, player so-and-so, little Joey gets $200. Like, $200 is $200. Now, if it gets to the point 10 years from now where, whatever, it makes sense to pay, the best player on the local football team, high school football team, if it makes sense to pay him $5,000 because, that's how much business they can.
All it takes is one kid. All it takes is one kid to be making that crazy amount, and then everyone else in their rose-tinted classes are going to.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right, and I agree with Hoop with it's happening already, because it's no, like, again, the kids that are going to benefit from this, again, they're not in the PIAA in this discussion, but the ones at Oak Hill and IMG and Montverde, and those kids are getting deals. They just don't have to worry about the eligibility component with their state athletic association.
Yeah.
And I think the state athletic association has to a degree, get out in front of this. Tanner comes in, he doesn't even wear a shirt.
Absolutely.
They have to get out in front of this.
Was he really not wearing a shirt?
He wasn't. Because if they don't, especially, I think the driver behind this is Philadelphia, and no doubt in my mind, because the kids down in Philadelphia are going to leave some of those PIAA member schools and jump across to Jersey, New York, or into a prep school and take advantage of it, where at least now the PIAA can come back and say, no, we're going to allow you to monetize that. It's just, here's where we're at right now.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it like in a negative way. I'm saying it just as a coach. I want to make sure when this comes out that me and my staff better be as prepared as possible, for situations that could be able to arise and understand all the rules and just do everything we can to make sure that, we're helping our players be in a position that they could succeed potentially and that they can make the proper decisions and not do anything that could jeopardize them. And at the same time, make sure that we're not doing anything that could, jeopardize our own selves and our own integrity.
Yep.
So it's just getting on board. It's going to be interesting times for sure.
Good answer there, Jack. That was a great answer.
I guess what I'm saying is it has to be more than, we passed a law.
Right.
Like you think back to some of the other laws that have passed. Like we think about, things like we have to do the concussion and heart certification every year. Well, just like that, there better be workshops on how to navigate this.
Right.
Good point.
And if people don't want to go, then that's on them. But I know I'll be one of the first to sign up to make sure that we're doing everything by the book and we're helping our athletes be in a position that they can succeed and we understand the rules and kind of help avoid them getting any potential jams.
All right. That's a good point. I'm glad you'll be the first one to sign up. 10 minutes turned into 37.
It always does with Jack Kelly.
I gotta go. It's my mom's birthday. I gotta.
Oh,
tell mom we said happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mama Kelly.
Tell your dad I said hello.
I will. Bye bye.
Jack, appreciate
See you, Jack.
Bye.